Hey, this is Well Explained and I'm Vladimir Granking. In previous video we discussed how to create arrays, but now let's see how to access and modify existing arrays. Array elements can be accessed using the following syntax. And as command says here, both square brackets and curly braces can be used interchangeably for accessing array elements. For example, this syntax and this syntax will do the same thing in the example below. Here we have the following array structure. As you can see, it has keys of mixed types, 2 string keys and 1 integer. In total we have 3 key value pairs. For example, in this case we have string key foo and value at this key is bar. So the question is, how can we access value at key foo? As you can see here, to access it we use the following syntax. Here we specify a variable name which contains the array, and then according to syntax we use square brackets with key name inside them. So in this case this expression will be evaluated to value bar and then echoed, as you can see, by the output. Note that we are using double quotes around key because otherwise PHP will assume that we are trying to call value of constant foo, which is obviously not what we want in this case. So don't forget to use single quotes or double quotes when string keys are involved. In this case we don't use double quotes because key is numeric. So when we access element of the array at key 42, it prints 24. And finally we have a key value pair where value is array itself, and in addition it has another nested array inside it. So the innermost array has one key value pair. And in order to access it we need to use the following syntax. As you can see, we first access the outermost key multi to get this array. Then we access a key called dimensional to get its value, which is the innermost array in this structure. And finally we get value at key array, so foo is echoed in this case, which is the value of the key value pair defined here. Also here I will mention that usually array structure is not that obvious as in this case. It can be much bigger, much deeper, and you can get it as a result of some function. So a lot of times during development it may be useful to print the entire array to get an idea of its structure and its elements. In this case you can use a very famous function called var_dump, which is very frequently used by developers to get details of almost any structure in PHP, including arrays. So we can, for example, var_dump this array to get information about it. As you can see, entire array is printed with its keys and values. Also, var_dump shows us types of values in this array. For example, in this case, var_dump tells us that value at key foo is a string which contains 3 characters and its value is bar. In this case, it shows that value at key multi is array which contains one key value pair. And by the way, you can still use array access syntax when using var_dump to print value at specific key. For example, here we var_dump array element at key multi. And here I want to mention that if you are using such tools as xdebug and your array is many levels deep, then xdebug will only allow to output several levels of that array when printed in the browser, as you can see here. If you want to change this behavior, you can do it in php.ini file or using any set function, like you can see here. Just play with these settings if needed. As you can see now, an entire array is printed. Another method to print array is to use JSON encode function if you are comfortable with JSON format. You just need to use pretty outputs, so pass JSON pretty print option here. The output produced in this case will look as follows. Another extremely popular way to output array details is to use printr with pre-tags, as you can see here. When pre-tag is used in the browser, then text inside it is displayed in a fixed width font and it preserves both spaces and line breaks. So this is how the output looks when printr is surrounded by the pre-tags. Very readable. And this is how the output looks when pre-tags are not used. Not very readable. As of PHP 5.4, it is possible to array dereference, the result of a function or method called directly. Before it was only possible using a temporary variable, as you can see here. So now we can immediately access an array returned by the function at specified key, as you can see here. In this case, integer value 2 will be assigned to second element variable. And here is an example which demonstrates that as of PHP 5.5, it is possible to array dereference and array literal. As you can see, here we define an array and immediately access its second element, which is located at index 1. So 7 will be echoed in this case. And here is a note on php.net and the manual which says, attempting to access an array key which has not been defined is the same as accessing any other undefined variable. An e-notice level error will be issued, and the result will be null. And now let's also cover documentation here on php.net on how to create and modify array with square bracket syntax. As it is said here, an existing array can be modified by explicitly setting values in it. This is done by assigning values to the array, specifying the key in brackets. The key can also be omitted, resulting in an empty pair of brackets. As comment says here, key may be an integer or string. Value may be any value of any type. If a variable doesn't exist yet, it will be created, so this is also an alternative way to create an array. This practice is however discouraged because if our variable already contains some value, for example string from request variable, then this value will stay in the place and an empty pair of brackets may actually stand for string access operator. It is always better to initialize variable by a direct assignment. To change a certain value, assign a new value to that element using its key. To remove a key value pair, call the unset function on it. So here we have an array with two key value pairs. As you can see, keys are explicitly specified and this is a numeric or indexed array. Now we are adding a new item to this array by using variable name followed by an empty pair of brackets, which means we decided to omit the key. So PHP will use the increment of the largest previously used integer key of that array. 13 in this case. As comment here says, this is the same as writing this expression at this point of the script. And in this case, we explicitly specify key name where we want assigned value to be stored. As comment here says, this adds a new element to the array with key x. And here we are using unset function to remove element of the array at index 5. And finally, we pass our variable to unset function to delete entire array. And here is a note which says, if no key is specified, the maximum of the existing integer indices is taken, and the new key will be that maximum value plus 1, but at least 0. If no integer indices exist yet, the key will be 0. Note that the maximum integer key used for this need not currently exist in the array. It need only have existed in the array at some time since the last time the array was reindexed. The following example illustrates this. Here we create a simple array and print it. As you can see, the output is as follows. Now we delete all items from this array and print it again. As you can see by the output, array is empty now. And here we add new item to this empty array and print it again. As you can see, new item was added at index 5, not 0. And now we are using array value function to reindex this array and add another value to it. As output demonstrates, now keys are started from 0. And here are some more examples on how to create, access, and modify arrays. In this case, we create associative array with mixed key types. As comment says here, key will be 0 in this case because we don't explicitly specify it, so it will be automatically assigned. Here is another simple array which can be defined like this. Here we don't specify keys explicitly, so they will be assigned automatically by PHP, and in this case indices will start from 0. And here comment says that this syntax is completely equivalent to this syntax. And this syntax is equivalent to this syntax. And here is an example of how we can use foreach control structure to get array values. Here we define a simple array and assign it to colors variable. And here we are using foreach loop to iterate this array. So what happens here is that foreach takes colors array as argument and gets all elements of this array, element by element. Each time, or in other words during each iteration, it gets value of currently retrieved or iterated element and assigns it to color variable. So we can inspect each element through this variable. In this case, we simply echo it on the screen. So the output produced is as follows. And here is an example which demonstrates how we can change values of the array. For that, we need to pass them by reference. In order to do so, we must assign n symbol in front of variable name to make it a reference. So now we can not only access each element of the array, but we can also change its value during iteration in a for each loop. As you can see, the result this example will produce is as follows. And here, after for each loop has finished, we unset color variable. As comment here says, this is to ensure that following rights to color variable will not modify the last array element. And here comment says that this is a workaround for older versions. And here is an example which demonstrates how we can also access key along with value. For that, the following syntax is used. For each color says key variable to which current element's key will be assigned, followed by double letter operator, and then goes color variable to which value will be assigned. And here we simply echo it on the screen, so the following output is produced. Here is an example which demonstrates how to fill an array with all items from a current directory. As you can see, while loop is used in this case. Here, readdir function returns the name of the next entry in the directory, which is then assigned to file variable. Because assignment operator itself is an expression which returns the same value as readdir function, it is strictly compared to boolean false. So this loop will be executed until readdir is not boolean false. As you can see, currently iterated item is added to files array using the following syntax, which we discussed earlier. As soon as all directory items are added to files array, directory is closed. As you can see, in my case, the output is as follows. Here is another example of how we can work with multi-dimensional arrays. Here we define a multi-dimensional array which is then assigned to fruits variable. Now to access this element, we use the following syntax. As you can see, we first specify this key to access this array, and then we use this key to access this value. In this case, we use fruits key to access this array, and then we access this key to get its value, which is orange. In this case, we again retrieve value at this key to get this array, and then we get value at index 0, which is this string first. And here is another way to create a multi-dimensional array. So the following array structure will be created and assigned to juices variable. And here documentation says, array assignment always involves value copying. Use the reference operator to copy an array by reference. Here we create a simple array and assign it to R1 variable. Now we assign R1 to R2 variable. And if we now change R2 array, it will not affect array stored in R1 variable. But here we are using assignment by reference, as you can see by this and symbol here. So now R3 variable points to the same array as R1 variable. So if we change R3, it will also affect R1 variable. Hey, this is well explained and I'm Vlad. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, then please hit the like button below and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more great videos like this. If you have any questions regarding this video, you can ask them in the comment section and I will be glad to answer them. Also, if you're just starting with PHP 7 or if you want to significantly improve your PHP skills, you can check our course on udemy.com called Learn PHP 5 and 7 This Way to Rise Above and Beyond Competition. This is a 21-hour course where we cover everything you need to become one of the best, most valuable PHP developers on the market. Also, it will help you to pass any technical PHP interview on covered topics and to prepare for Zen PHP certification exam both for PHP 5 and 7. So if you're interested, the link is here right in the middle of the screen and in the description to this video. On our course page, you will find a lot of full free preview videos, so you can decide if you want to take this course. So good luck with conquering PHP, thanks again for watching this video, and see you in the next one.